Hi everyone. This week we're going to learn more about central cancer registries. Most central registries are population-based, and types of central registries are regional, state, multi-state, provincial, or national. So these are all different types of central registries. HIPAA has little impact on cancer case reporting since it is mandated by law to report all cancer cases. This quote is from a letter of advice from NACER to central registries regarding HIPAA. No, you do not need to memorize this. Just know that written consent from cancer patients is not required to submit data, either at the hospital or the state level. It's law, you don't need their permission. The data sources for a central registry include hospital registries, physician offices, ambulatory care facilities, which would include surgery centers, radiation treatment facilities, hospital labs, freestanding labs, and interstate data exchange. A central registry must have rules for case ascertainment and reportability, for which all facilities that report to them would have to follow. These rules would include a reportability list, the reference state, residency, the type of cases, for sure analytic cases, but most states want all cases, whether they are analytic or non-analytic. And then the diagnostic confirmation. In the past, some central registries did not want cases from hospitals or other facilities if they did not have a pathological confirmation of cancer. I know Wisconsin wants all cases, whether pathologically confirmed or clinically diagnosed. And I think that's pretty much the same now across the board with all states. But you would want to check with your state coding manual to know for sure what needs to be reported. They must also have rules on their case finding processes from hospitals, non-hospitals, and out of region, or those cases that are diagnosed and or treated out of state. This is part of the interstate data exchange that happens between states. And desk clearance, which we will talk about in a bit. Each state has its own requirements specific to exactly what and when physician offices need to report, the format to complete the reporting. Abstract Plus is a free software that most states require non-accredited facilities to use for reporting. Since COC accredited facilities usually utilize a software and pay for that, they use that. However, non-accredited facilities won't use, that. They won't have that money in their budget, so they can use Abstract Plus, which is free software. There are abstract requirements. Exactly what must be included in the abstract? Is it all information or just information from your facility? And then the state central registries must monitor the facilities and how current they are with their abstracting and the completeness of their abstracts. This is essential for incident rates and statistical trends. An important function of central registries is the ability to combine information from several sources on the same patient. This is called record linkage or consolidation. This is the central registry's part of the central registry's case finding process. It adds new patients' reports to the database. It detects duplicate cases. It can provide follow-up information on cases. Some central registries complete follow-up on their cases and some do not. Wisconsin, for example, does not require follow-up from facilities. You just have to report it the one time. Record linkage can improve case information, giving the central registry more specific information than was previously given. This linkage is necessary for central registries to perform analytics and produce statistics on its cases, and it can also be used to conduct special studies. This is a very simplistic illustration of the consolidation process. The data, the cases you reported to the central registry, is loaded, whether it is from a hospital or any of the previously listed sources. Cases are run through their edit checks, and any record errors are resolved. This may require a call to the facility that reported the case. Cases are screened for reportability. They do not want to include cases in their database that are not reportable. So if anyone reports something and submits it that is not reportable, they will take that out of their database. The database is checked to see if there is a matching case already in the database. If there is, and it is determined that it is the same person and the same primary, the two records are consolidated into one incident. If there is not a match, then a new patient set will be created in the database for that patient's case. And once again, especially if the case was consolidated, all edit errors must be resolved. Matching cases, even with personal identifiers, can be difficult. Is this existing patient the same as any of the incoming patients? This is what the central registry staff would have to determine by reviewing the case, most likely carefully reading the text within the abstract. Sometimes it is easy to distinguish if a patient is the same, but then it may have to be determined if it is the same primary or if it's a new primary. So you have to match the patient, consolidate the case, but then there may be conflicting information. So they've matched the patients, they've consolidated the case, but then they look at the data within that consolidated case, and there are data fields that are conflicting. One facility reported it one way, another reported it the other. And which information that was submitted by the multiple facilities, which is correct information. Once again, the central registry staff would read the text within the abstract to see, who specifically documented that specific text. And that's, once again, why the text information in an abstract is so vital to the central registries, because they'll read that first. And then if they can't figure out, who has the most accurate or which information is accurate, they may have to contact the facility, which obviously takes time. So if you have that information in your text, it saves everyone time in the end. As you can see, consolidation can be very tedious. I've never done it, but I know someone that has done thousands of cases, and she says that sometimes your eyes cross after a couple hours of doing it. One of the processes that central registries perform is death clearance. This is important for you to know, since you will hear from your state registry when they complete this process. So what is death clearance? Death clearance is defined by NACER as the process of matching registered deaths using the death certificates in a population against reportable conditions in the registry database. This is done for two reasons: ascertainment of the death information for people already in the registry for that primary cancer, and this is called the death clearance match. It is also for the identification of all deaths with a reportable condition mentioned on or as a cause of death that was not found in the registry database. And this is called death clearance follow-back, but it is more commonly referred to as death clearance. All right. This is a flow diagram of the death clearance process as defined by NACER. No, you do not need to memorize it or know this. Just know that there is a process for this, and it is important in determining complete case ascertainment for central registries. Where do you come in on this process as a cancer registrar? If the state has a death certificate with a cancer diagnosis and that patient is not already in their database, they will try and determine who should have reported that case. So if the patient expired at your hospital and the death certificate stated cancer, the central registry will contact you to see why it was not reported. If one of your staff physicians completed a death certificate with a cancer diagnosis, the central registry may contact you to see why you did not report the case. Sometimes it won't even be reportable, but you have to determine that and let the state know. Sometimes the physician will put on a death certificate that the patient expired from cancer, but the information that you had did not indicate that, or the patient actually did not live in the state. Sometimes it is just a case that was missed, which could be due to many different reasons. And then you would just complete an abstract and submit the case to the state central registry. These are the quality control methods that are used by central registries. You do not need to know exactly what each one is. Some are pretty self-explanatory, but make sure you do know the different methods used for quality control. Central Cancer Registry programs are funded by the CDC's NPCR and or NCI's SEER. Due to receiving these funds, the central registries must report their cases to these organizations. This map indicates the states that submit their data to NPCR, that's the blue. SEER is in the green, and then the states in the very pale green report to both NPCR and SEER. NACER rewards state central registries with certificates depending on how well they do with their call for data. Just like a hospital has a COC accredited facility has call for data for NCDB, the central state registries also have call for data to those organizations that they must report to. This is the criteria in which a gold or silver certificate may be issued to the state central registry. Wisconsin received the gold certificate for their 2015 incidence data. And they could not have done that without the hard work of all the cancer registrars working throughout the state. And it's the same for any state. The state's data is just as good and timely as the cancer registrars at the facility make it. One of the ways central registries analyze their data is by incident rates. FYI, incident rates will most likely be covered on the CTR exam. The incident rate is the measurement of disease frequency over a specific period of time. The numerator includes only newly diagnosed cases during that time period. The denominator includes only at-risk individuals in that same population for that same time period. Populations used to determine incident rates are generally multiplied by 100,000. There are different types of incident rates. There's crude incident rates, and that includes all ages combined. Age-specific incident rates are calculated for subgroups of the population of a specific age group. Age-adjusted incident rates are used to compare rates in different populations that may have different age distributions to calculate an overall rate and adjust it for age. Another rate you will want to know for your exam is prevalence rate. A prevalence rate includes the total number of cases with the disease at a particular point in time. We will discuss rates in more detail next semester in the Cancer Stats course. I know this chapter was very, very long. You don't have to worry about legislation or governance, staffing, budget, or the different types of studies that can be done with the data or the history of central registries. Just concentrate on the sections of the chapter that are included in this presentation. And as always, if you have any questions, please post them in my virtual office. Hope everyone has a great week. Take care.